Imagine this, you're just 12 years old and your father, the one person you trust above all else, tells you to run, to hide, to escape. It's November 18th, 1978, a day that would forever be etched in the annals of history as one of the darkest. Gerald Park looks into his daughter Tracy's eyes, filled with terror and confusion, and gives her an unthinkable ultimatum. "Run, Tracy," he says. "Hide in the jungle and don't come out until it's safe." The words hang heavy in the air, a chilling foreboding of the horror that's about to unfold. Tracy is just a child, barely on the cusp of adolescence. Such a burden is too immense for her small shoulders, but she doesn't question it. She trusts her father implicitly. She knows that if he's telling her to do something this drastic, it must be for a good reason. The terror she feels is palpable, clawing at her insides like a wild beast. But there's no time for fear. She needs to act, and she needs to act now. She doesn't know it yet, but her escape will be a race against time, a desperate bid for survival amidst the chaos. Gerald's words echo in her mind as she makes her way into the dense foliage, his voice a beacon guiding her through the terror. His words a testament to their relationship, a bond forged in love and trust, give her the courage she needs to push forward. It's a courage that's born from her father's faith in her, a courage that will be her guiding light in the dark days ahead. It's a courage that will see her through the most harrowing ordeal a 12-year-old could ever face. But this is just the beginning. The real test lies ahead. The jungle may hide her from immediate danger, but it's also full of its own perils. The road to survival is a treacherous one, fraught with danger at every turn. In the face of the unimaginable, Tracy mustered the courage to run, but the escape was only the beginning. As Tracy plunges into the dense jungle, she carries nothing but her father's words. "Stay hidden until it's safe." The jungle is a terrifying maze of shadows and sounds, a far cry from the safety of her family home. Her world is now a deadly game of hide-and-seek with the stakes higher than any 12-year-old should ever face. This is no ordinary forest. It's a living, breathing entity filled with unseen dangers, from venomous creatures lurking underfoot to the oppressive heat and humidity that threatens to suffocate her. But the most immediate threat comes from the sky and the ground. The relentless gunmen and whirring helicopters, all hunting her down with a chilling efficiency. But Tracy is not a typical 12-year-old. She's a child born and raised in the shadow of a death cult, where survival was a daily struggle. She's seen things no child should ever have to witness, and it's these harsh experiences that have prepared her for this moment. She uses every trick she's learned to evade her pursuers. She stays low, moves silently, and uses the dense foliage for cover. She understands the rhythms of the jungle, knows when to move and when to stay perfectly still. She's become a part of the jungle, invisible to those who seek her. But the jungle is more than a hiding place. It's a constant reminder of the psychological horrors she's faced. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig is a potential threat. Tracy grapples with the fear that gnaws at her, the loneliness that engulfs her, and the despair that threatens to consume her. But she pushes these feelings aside, knowing that survival is the only option. And yet, in the face of such adversity, Tracy's spirit remains unbroken. She's driven by a fierce determination to survive, to avenge her mother, and to make sure Jim Jones pays for his atrocities. Her courage, resilience, and resourcefulness are a testament to the indomitable spirit of a child. In the midst of danger, Tracy's survival instincts kicked into high gear, but her journey was far from over. Tracy didn't only want to survive, she wanted justice. Justice for her mother and for the 918 victims of Jim Jones. At the tender age of 12, Tracy Parks found herself in the heart of a jungle, her life hanging by a thread. But as the helicopters thundered overhead and gunmen lurked in the shadows, it was not fear that consumed her. It was a burning desire for revenge. She knew there was only one way she could honor her mother's memory, and that was to bring the man responsible for her death to justice. This resolve, this thirst for retribution became her lifeline, fueling her determination to survive the nightmarish ordeal. Every rustle in the undergrowth, every distant gunshot only steeled her resolve. She knew she had to live to tell her story, to expose Jim Jones for the monster he truly was. The name Jim Jones had once been spoken with reverence in her home, but now it was a name that sparked fury in her heart. He was not a man of God as he had proclaimed himself to be. He was a manipulator, a murderer, and Tracy knew that the world needed to see him for what he truly was. As the night wore on, Tracy clung to her promise of revenge. It was this promise that kept her going, that gave her the strength to endure the chilling darkness, the hunger, the fear. She would not let her mother's death be in vain. She would not let the lives of the 918 victims be forgotten. Tracy Parks, a 12-year-old girl, found herself standing against a man who had fooled the world. She was alone, frightened but determined. Her promise of revenge was not just for her, but for all the victims of Jim Jones. Driven by her desire for justice, Tracy vowed to make Jim Jones pay. You might have heard about Jonestown, but do you know the full story? Jonestown, or the People's Temple Agricultural Project, was not just a remote settlement in the jungles of Guyana, South America. It was the embodiment of a dream-turned-nightmare, the brainchild of a man named Jim Jones. Jones, a charismatic preacher from Indiana, had promised his followers a utopia, a promised land free from the shackles of societal prejudice and injustice. Little did they know, this was merely a facade for a much darker reality. In the late 70s, under the guise of creating an egalitarian paradise, Jones led over 900 of his followers to their untimely end. The inhabitants of Jonestown were subjected to unthinkable physical, psychological, and emotional abuse. They were forced to work long hours in the sweltering heat. Their mail was censored, and they were subjected to Jones's relentless sermons via loudspeakers day and night. However, the most chilling aspect of Jonestown was the mass suicide, or rather, mass murder that took place on November 18, 1978. On that fateful day, Jones orchestrated the largest single loss of American civilian life in a non-natural disaster until the events of September 11, 2001. Under Jones's orders, his followers were forced to drink a cyanide-laced beverage, famously referred to as the Jonestown Kool-Aid. Those who resisted were either shot or injected with poison. Over 900 lives were lost, including more than 200 innocent children. This mass suicide was not a spur-of-the-moment act, but a premeditated plan. For months leading up to the event, Jones had conducted white night drills, rehearsing the mass suicide with his followers. The people of Jonestown were coerced into blind obedience, their wills broken and subjugated to the whims of a man who had lost touch with reality. The tale of Jonestown is not just a story of a charismatic leader and his followers. It is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the horrifying consequences of manipulation and coercion. The tragedy of Jonestown stands as a testament to the devastating effects of blind faith and the lengths to which people will go when they are manipulated and controlled. Jonestown is a grim reminder of the power of manipulation and the devastating effects of blind faith. Out of the darkness of Jonestown emerged one ray of hope, Tracy Parks, the little girl who lived. This 12-year-old's tale is one of resilience and bravery, a testament to the power of the human spirit even in the face of unimaginable terror. In a world that was spiraling into chaos, Tracy Parks found the courage to defy the unthinkable. She was a beacon of hope amidst a sea of despair, a survivor in a place where survival seemed impossible. But Tracy was not just a survivor. She was a symbol of resistance, a living testament to the power of hope and the strength of the human spirit. When she fled into the jungle that fateful day in November, Tracy was not just escaping the clutches of a death cult. She was escaping a future that had been stolen from her, a life that had been ripped away by the cruel whims of a madman. But in the face of such unimaginable horror, Tracy did not crumble. She did not give up. She fought, and she survived. Tracy Parks' story is not just a tale of survival. It's a story of resilience, of determination, of a will to live that refused to be extinguished. It's a story that reminds us that even in the darkest of times, there is always a glimmer of hope. There is always a chance for survival, for redemption, for a new beginning. Tracy's escape from Jonestown was not the end of her story. It was the beginning. It was the first step on a long journey of healing and recovery, a journey that continues to this day. Tracy's survival was not just a personal victory. It was a victory for all those who have ever faced adversity, for all those who have ever fought for their lives, for all those who have ever dared to hope in the face of despair. Tracy Parks' story is a stark reminder of the human capacity for resilience. It's a reminder that even in the most dire of circumstances, hope can thrive. It's a reminder that even when faced with the unthinkable, we have the power to survive, to overcome, to rise above. Against all odds, Tracy Parks survived. Her story is a testament to human resilience and the power of hope in the face of despair.